have Martin Seville, who lives in Quedgeley, which is somewhere I've never heard of. So first question, would you like to explain where Quedgeley is?
That's a really good question, I guess. Easy one for me. Thank you for breaking me in gently.
Okay,
Yes, Gloucester in the UK.
Gloucester.
So lovely part of the world. Gloucestershire, Cotswold, Rolling Hills.
Oh,
Lots
lovely.
of fun. It's beautiful place, beautiful part of the country.
Because you do have a window behind you, but unfortunately we can't see anything. It's all white. So
yeah, that's probably, well, it's a lot of green actually.
So you can see it.
There's a lot of green out there. So that's my view from empathy coaching headquarters.
That's great. It looks a lovely room you've got there. Actually, it's better than most most people I interview have like a very dodgy background, but you look like.
Well, there's a fair bit around. It's it's my personality. I like a little bit of Marvel. I like the toys. All keeps me grounded.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you're a coach, speaker, author. Inspiring, motivating, and educating you to live a life worth remembering. That's your tagline, isn't it, on LinkedIn?
That is beautiful. Yeah.
So
most of those things are just labels, but it does help people kind of navigate. So what kind of thing do you do?
Yeah.
So I've settled on coach, speaker, author. That kind of means I help people. I do some talking and I do some writing. I think people can get their heads around that. So
that's great. Yeah. So obviously you sort of didn't start off sort of like that. So would you like to tell your story, how you sort of progressed, to be where you are today?
Yeah, sure, of course. And first off, thanks for having me on the show.
Okay.
Right? I mean, we hooked up mainly just a few weeks ago, wasn't it? And shared a bit of story. You needed some guests for your show.
Yeah.
I love talking on people's shows, and magic's happened, and here we are. So, it's about taking opportunities. It's about supporting each other. So, absolutely delighted to be here. So, I'm Martin Seville. Yeah, and my backstory is not coaching and speaking and writing. I've got a 20-year career in corporate world. Okay. So financial services, the heady world of financial services.
Right.
So I spent 20 years in that, going up that corporate ladder, doing all the things you think you ought to do. Came out of university straight into it. This guiding voice of be professional, be successful, be credible, whatever those sorts of things actually meant in my head at the time. But it kind of led me to fall into financial services, and there were a lot of good times, a lot of helping millions of people with their finances, billions of pounds worth of investments and pensions and all that kind of stuff. So I found myself in that world, and anybody that's kind of come from the corporate world, especially financial services, they'll know that there's a lot of change. It's like literally in those 20 years, there was a restructure.
You've frozen. Oh, that's pretty. I don't know what happened, but
every 18 months, reorganizing the company, it was making it efficient, or somebody would take somebody over, there'd be a merger, always something going on. So it kind of kept it fresh.
Yeah.
So that the kind of thing that I think a lot of people set out with, I'll get this job, and then I'll give it a couple of years, and then I'll get my proper job. I'll figure something out.
Sure.
And again, like many people, that 2 years turns into 10 years, 15 years, 20 years.
I've spoken to all my other guests. Actually, had a similar story of starting off in corporate, and myself included. I used to be a chartered accountant, so it's easy to get into, but it's sort of hard to get out of, isn't it? Because it's quite scary to take the leap.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a massive industry. It's such an important industry as well. So a lot of good is done in financial services, although many people think it's pretty dull, but it is actually really important. And you help people's dreams come true.
Yeah.
And that, for me, part of the appeal was that. I was several stages back in like propositions and all kinds of stuff like that, but it was always about, well, we're doing this for a customer who can then use that money to, have that retirement that they've earned, go on that world cruise, pay for the daughter's wedding, all these kinds of things. So you kind of, right, what's the purpose behind all this? It's not just figures and spreadsheets and whatever. It's what's the purpose? And that was the thing that drove me. That's the thing that was really important to me. And then internally in the business, helping my colleagues, making sure their well-being was looked after, making sure they had the support and, dare I say, coaching that they needed. So it became very clear that I was a people person, really. But I needed that kind of purpose. It's not about just do this. It's kind of, well, what, even if you're a few stages back, it's like, well, and what does that lead to? And what does that lead to? What's the big picture? So I'm always a big picture kind of guy. So yeah, I mean, let's do it really quick. So we want to get into positive stuff and whatever. It's people find themselves in these roles in business, corporate, whatever. Lasts a long time. Now I made the mistake of keeping going. When things got really stressful in the last 10 years, as you climb that corporate ladder, as the economy went crazy, as regulation got even more intense, as I was responsible for more brands and companies and millions of customers, the stress and the overwhelm starts creeping up. And we all kind of think, well, it's all part of the job. It's all part of life. We feel like it's the tax we have to pay. We get stressed. We work long hours, but we think, well, it's got to be like this. Everyone's like this, right? You look across the desk and you go, well, John's like this as well. It's just how it is. It just becomes this tax that we're prepared to pay for the privilege of living and working in the 21st century. I'm very much at the moment, I'm thinking this is pre-COVID. That was the world that was, that was yesterday. And there was a lot of great stuff in yesterday, but there was also a lot of stuff that wasn't so great yesterday. And this whole piling it on, and you think, okay, I'll work a little harder. No, I'll work a little smarter. You'll work smarter. But you know what? It basically ends up being we work longer. It's just a simple, sad truth of it is you just work longer. By working longer, you get more exhausted. By working longer, you don't see your family so much. You start getting a bit resentful. You start neglecting yourself. It's not a great place to be. And if we can nip it in the bud then, things are just getting a little bit, this is just getting too much. My to-do list is out of control and I just don't know. If we can nip it in the bud there, get a little bit different mindset, do some actions slightly differently, start setting some boundaries. We can sort that out now. Great. Okay. Then we've got something you can manage that going forward. And as you go up the corporate ladder, you'll use all those skills and they'll serve you. But of course, unless somebody teaches you that stuff, you don't know it.
So you're in the corporate world. How did you get out and start your coaching career? Did you just resign one day and then the next day you became a coach, or was there like a journey to that point?
Well, there was a journey.
Okay.
Yeah, and anybody who's heard my story before, they go, I don't know if you want to ask that, Keith, because he can go on.
Well, can we have the short version?
Okay. So just like most people, they get stressed and whatever, but they kind of cope with it. If you push the boundaries too much and for too long, then basically your body wears out. Your body and your mind goes, enough is enough, I can't do it. All those strategies you've used to cope up to that point, which have worked, or the habits you've used to cope up to that point now stop working. And it just becomes a toll. And that's what then led to 2 burnouts for me. First one, sat in the office, surrounded by thousands of people, nice big financial building, glass building, surrounded by suits and phones, and I'm there at my desk, just shaking. I can't see properly, heart pain in the chest, feel completely sick. Haven't got a clue what's going on. Just genuinely not a clue. In fact, so traumatic is it, I can't remember how I got home. I remember sat there at the desk. I remember what that felt like. I remember nothing until the following day when I was sat with the doctor.
Wow.
So, you know, it goes to show, right? And I know people say, oh, what happened to me? You know, trust me, I said that too. You know, if it's day in, day out that you're feeling like this.
Because you look sort of physically very fit, and you look full of energy and everything. So, I mean, I could imagine, you know, I could imagine looking at some people and think, right, they're going to have a burnout. But, you know, if it happened to you, I could imagine something like that could happen to anyone, really.
Well, that's right. I mean, and, you know, yes, I'm quite energetic anyway. But, you know, prior to that stress building up, I was like this.
Yeah.
But I was a million miles away from that. You know, I just became this recluse in a way, feeling like the world was on my shoulders. I had to solve everything myself. Okay. You know, the to-do list was so out of control, it was ridiculous. But the expectation and the regulation, and
I think that's one, like at work, I remember, like if you've got a lot of stress at work, often you can't really talk about it to people because people aren't interested. That we've all got problems. We don't want to listen to other people's problems. So it's hard to really communicate, isn't it? Unless you've got that support environment network around you, which is so important.
You're absolutely right. And there's a couple of aspects.
Yeah,
it's very difficult to admit it because there's a culture of weakness.
Yeah,
I can't cope. I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
When actually the work you're doing, nobody's saying that you're not good enough. In fact, you're probably more than good enough.
Yeah.
But internally, you're thinking, well, I've just got so much.
Yeah.
And you don't want to, you don't tend to want to admit that because you go, well, if I say that, then they're going to think I'm, you know, I'm not good. I might get marked down in my performance review, and then you've got pay rises and bonuses relying on it. And before you know it, you've taught yourself that, you know, you're going to lose your job. You'll be the next one out in the next restructure, and you'll be hopeless. And you've lost your wife and kids. It literally is. Our minds are incredible at creating stories.
So you had so because of all those pressures, you had this burnout, and then you're at the doctor's surgery the next day, and presumably he prescribed you time off work, did he, to recover from that?
Yeah. And here's a life lesson as well, you know. So catch it early.
Yeah.
It's not what you pay. If your doctor says take some time off, take it off.
Yeah.
If you have got to that point, you need time.
Yeah.
Don't be like I was and go, okay, it's coming up to the weekend. I'll have a couple of days off, and I'll have a couple of other days off, but I don't want to get 7 days because that's a sick note territory. And that goes against my record. You know what? If you're ill, you're ill. And there's nothing wrong with that. Sure. There's no weakness in that. In fact, if you're ill, then you need the time off. And I say that for, like, you know, when it's serious stuff like this, but for any illness, you need to recover. So yeah, I did. And it was, you know, the thing of you've got severe depression, you've got high anxiety, antidepressants, went on lots of courses with our wonderful NHS. Timely, I know, but absolutely stunning. In Gloucestershire, we're very lucky with the mental health services.
Were they CBT courses?
They were, yeah. Very good, very good.
Well, I heard that's the one of the main therapies that is funded by the NHS. Because it is actually proven to work.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. And you know, a lot of that is kind of what I use with my coaching clients if they're feeling, you know, in those stressful positions, because it works.
Sure.
And there's nothing better than being able to coach somebody on something or teach somebody that you've experienced, and therefore you know it works. And you also know how they feel in that moment. Hence the name empathy coaching. It's very important to me that I work with people that, you know, I can really empathize with where they are, whether that's their future visions or the situation they're in.
Because quite often, and obviously, if you've been through a similar experience yourself, it probably makes it easier to empathize with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's a key way to empathize with people. You know, be in their shoes.
So
yeah, I did all that. I had a second burnout. You know, I just pushed too hard, and that was the moment when, you know, everything unraveled. You know, it was the moment that I couldn't work. You know, it wasn't a case of you're going to get signed off for 7 days.
Yeah.
For an entire year, my doctor was signing me off every 4 weeks. Couldn't work. In fact, you know, for part of it, I was basically in a dark room, you know, in the corner, crying. You know, I couldn't leave the house, couldn't talk to people, couldn't talk to family. Very, very tough times. And you think, here's another lesson for people. That people think, you know, if it wasn't for work, I'd be healthier. If it wasn't for work, I wouldn't be so stressed. If it wasn't for work, I'd have a better relationship with my family. If it wasn't for work, I'd be able to look after myself, right?
Yeah.
I know that. We all say that. And work is a very important element. No doubt. It is where you spend so much of your time. So it is absolutely, you know, critical that that environment is conducive for you. That, you know, you are getting something out of that environment. You know, surround yourself with negativity or, you know, frustration and resentment or whatever it is. And that's just, you know, that's going to rub off. It's going to, you know, impact you. So what you surround yourself with is really important. But you know what? After a while, when you've been doing all these, implementing all this strategy and stuff, it just means you've run out of the skills and the knowledge that are going to help you move, you know, deal with what's happening. And in some ways, prevent the sort of thing that happened to me from happening.
So after your second burnout, presumably you had to take a period of healing and sort of time off.
Yeah, that's right.
And then after that, you started. Did you just start taking
I had
on
the epiphany.
and...
Yeah, I had the epiphany. You know, in that year where I couldn't work. You know, there was a brush with suicide. I'm not gonna you know, color it. You know, it happened. Okay, it got to the point of hopelessness. I thought I had tried everything. I thought I had every conversation. I thought I'd spoken to everybody because I had done everything that everybody had asked me to do, and work had been amazing, flexible working, all that kind of stuff. Right? It was all great, but I was still getting worse, and I just couldn't cope. My wife saved my life essentially, and then doctors, and yes, then there was that period of recovery after that. It was an enlightenment, because once I realized I had generalized anxiety disorder, which is where you're in fight or flight 24/7, you can't naturally bring yourself down. So you're running from the saber-toothed tiger all of the time, which is exhausting.
Sure.
Once we realized that's what I had, we could have some medication for that. And all of a sudden, I'm starting to think clearly. So, you know, I know there's, you know, should we take medication or not take medication? You know what? I was always against medication until I really needed it. And it made the world of difference. Because then you can start, once you start thinking clearly, you can then start putting into practice all the stuff you learned. And boy, does that make a difference. Boy, that makes a difference. And generalized anxiety disorder, if people don't realize, one of the ways you develop that, it's not just a cold that you catch, that is developed from years and years, a prolonged period of time under extreme stress. Where basically your body has been under that pressure for so long, it can no longer, you know, evaluate stress. You're there all the time. It can't bring it. And when you get to that state, oh, I tell you, I've still got it. I'm still on medication because this thing is long term, right? You know, don't get to this point. You know, I know I'm full of energy right now, and I'm living a great life. But I want people to make a mistake in another area of life. Don't make this one, okay? Because it, you know, there's a big proportion of your life that it is going to ruin. But I was lucky; I had the right people around me. My wife is my guardian angel, a doctor, the NHS, and I remember it was the epiphany that was talked about. It was, I was in therapy, and we were talking about core values, core beliefs. And really trying to dig down into me again, because it felt like I was a facade. I wasn't being myself. And we literally were looking at this, and then I just realized that I'd almost been living somebody else's life for 20 years. You know, the voice that was way back when that was saying, be successful, be credible, you know, whatever that means.
That's, now you hit upon a sort of another theme, really, which I'm sort of trying to do with this series of interviews of like being authentic, because a lot of us, we do spend our lives pretending to be something other than what we are. So if we're at work, for example, we are pretending to be the imperfect employee, like we can't admit that we made a mistake. We have to sort of all this pressure to try and be perfect all the time. And if we've got a business, we try and also oversell and try and, you know, pretend, you know, we're like amazing and incredibly successful, and we've got, you know, people, we can produce incredible results for people, you know, and all this sort of thing. And it's exaggerating things, and it's not really being authentic. So that's why in this series of interviews, you know, part of it is that we just try and be authentic and just sort of say what we are, what we're doing. Honestly, this is me, sort of take me or leave me and stuff. And it's a lot more relaxing. And also, I think people sense that. People sell, you know, people can smell when people are sort of exaggerating and stuff, and or being sold to and stuff. And it's much more refreshing just to see people just say, you know, this is me, warts and all, and so on. And then we're much more likely. Also, our businesses are much more likely to be successful and so on, because it's got that element of honesty and authenticity and so on behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. In business, we buy from people. They're a brand and all that kind of stuff. But it's, what do they stand for? Who are they? You know, do they align with our morals, our ethics, our beliefs, core values, right? And you know, if everything is perfectly flashy all the time, you know, $1 million budget all the time for like small to medium business, then, or you're trying to do that, especially if you're trying to do that on a budget. Yeah. Just it jars with people. You know, it's what I discovered. You know, I stood up in that therapy session. I went, oh my God, I've been living someone else's life. Yeah. For the first time in 20 years, I actually remember who I am. That creative person, that social person, that musical person, that outdoorsy person. All of the stuff that I was came flooding back. Sure. And what also happened was that in that moment, I realized why I'd been on the journey. Now, you know, life is full of stories. We tell ourselves stories all the time. But this one for me, the story I tell myself at this point, I suddenly realized why I'd been through everything I'd been through, which was, you know, over a decade of very, very painful life. I suddenly realized that I'd been through it. I'd had the courage and the strength to get through it, even though I didn't think I had. I had the right people around me. And it was a lesson. It was a lesson that I then had to share with other people. And I knew in that moment, I didn't want anybody else to go through what I had, because I realized it was completely avoidable. But there's this massive gap. People don't get trained on this. They don't get
people
trained.
Don't know. I mean, they might. I mean, I think you also already mentioned your wife, who sort of helped you through this.
Yeah, absolutely. Guardian angel.
A lot of people don't have that, or maybe their partner doesn't really understand. You know, people don't know how to help, really, do they? They just feel helpless. So maybe, you know, a lot of people have partners who are also trapped in some sort of stressful situation, so they've got their own problems and so on. Yeah. And a lot of people a lot of people go to the doctor, I suppose, and they get drugs. Now, I know that the medication really helped you, but I imagine some people, it doesn't really, because you did all this other stuff as well, and you managed to reach this rock bottom point, and because of that, you knew, right, you've got to change, and that gave you the motivation to really do everything. But a lot of people never really, I suppose, reach that rock bottom. They're always like, they're almost rock bottom, and they just sort of can carry on with the medication, and they just leave their whole lives, you know, really sort of stressful and unhappy, and they don't really know how to get out of it. They don't, you know, the only way out they can see is to pack in their job. But if they've got mortgages and stuff, you know, it's not easy, is it?
Yeah. Oh, there's so much, Shinaki. So much. Right. Okay. The people you surround yourself with. Let's see if I can remember. The people you surround yourself with. Completely, critical, right? Critical to you living a better life, whatever your life is right now. To live a slightly better life, the quality of the people around you and who you absorb is a massive factor in that. And you're right. Some people aren't as lucky as what I was. You know, literally, she's been with me my entire life. We went to preschool together, right? We've literally been together for all of our life. And she saved my life on more than one occasion. So she really is a very special lady. my guardian angel. But I know some people don't have that. And people can say, well, that's okay for you, Martin, but I haven't got that. You know, if I get to that point, then I'm not coming back. And again, that's part of the, let's not get you to that point in the first place.
Yeah.
And let's make sure that the people you surround yourself with are good, inspiring, motivating.
And also, a lot of people don't really have a lot of people don't really have many friends, not like real friends. They can talk, you know, have people that they go down the pub with, and it's quite superficial, and they just sort of make jokes. But it doesn't go very deep. And I think especially a lot of men don't have that. They have one or two friends, but as they get older, it's harder to sort of make friends because everyone's in sort of couples and so on. And so that's another problem people face, isn't it? It's making more friends, really.
And we can be what happens, especially if we're under stress and pressure, we go insular, we go inwards, we close off the world. What I discovered through my journey is that, you know, basically when I came out of recovery, it was like seeing the world for the first time in full 4K definition. And it was glorious. I suddenly realized just how amazing this world is. You know, not just the planet, but the people on it. And that you can connect with people all over the world. This technology we've got now, you know, some abuse it, some just get addicted to it. If you use it properly, you can connect with people all over the world. And I'm talking about the best in the world you can connect with. And so I've never felt alone. You know, there was times when I had family around and I still felt alone, but that was all in here. But I know that there are people all over the world that I've now connected with, got relationships with through LinkedIn or Facebook or social media or video conferencing like this, like us. That if I've built those relationships, and you know what, if I needed something, if I was having a low moment, they lift me up. And if they're having a low moment, I lift them up. This whole, for too long, and again, many people, they just think they've got to have all the answers. It's funny, you know, as kids, we're asking questions all the time, right? It's like, why this? Why that? What's that? We're brought up just to ask questions. But when we become an adult, I don't know, we somehow think that we need to have all the answers. It's like, we're grown up now, we're an adult now. So, you know, if somebody asks us to do something and we're not quite sure, well, we're supposed to know. But if you don't know it, you don't know it. It's no failing.
Sure. We don't know everything, do we? I mean, people might expect us to. But,
exactly right. But
so,
you can see that for what it is. You can say, well, of course I don't have all the answers. Of course I don't. That's ridiculous. But in the moment, you feel, because you're feeling like, well, I can't admit that I'm you know, I don't know, because what are they going to think? Well, actually, you know, when we start saying, you know what, it is perfectly okay to ask questions. It's perfectly okay to go, I'm sure I can do that. My capability is fine, but could you just explain how?
Because that's the only way. Well, that's the only way we grow and learn, isn't it? By, you know, admitting where we are and help. Okay, so I'm just checking. So we're streaming this onto Facebook Live and YouTube.
Yeah, we're live.
So if you're out there listening or watching, if you could just leave a comment or just let us know there. And also, if you've got any questions, please type them in the chat, so then I can ask Martin. In the meantime, what I'd like to do is just share my screen, and then just look at your website and so on, and see, you know, what you're up to. So here, so this is your LinkedIn profile, and then
that is. You're right.
You link to if you click on contact info. I think you mentioned two websites: Empathy Coaching and Extraordinary Times. Extraordinary-times.com. So let's just start with empathycoaching.co.uk. Now, you already explained about the name, because this is how you operate, because especially what we're talking about, you know, the support network, of having people sort of understand what you're going through and everything. So that's where you got the name of Empathy Coaching. And I think that's in coaching and therapy and counseling and stuff, there's this thing called UPR, I think Universal Positive Regard it stands for, which is I suppose sort of another way of talking about empathy. So and you do like one-to-one coaching, business program, and you invite people to book a free call to discuss the hero's journey and also discuss your corporate support. So
that's right.
you got a lot of information there, and also but this particular website, you don't. Oh, that, and at the bottom, it's got all your amazing social media platforms. Now, if I was you, I'll put them at the top, because I think a lot of people would sometimes don't make it down to the bottom line, and they might not know it's there. But this is where I think a lot of your best information is, because I'm all about personal branding and content marketing. So I'm looking at your Facebook page, for example, which is facebook.com. It's Martin Empathy Coaching. And you post a load of stuff on there, and quotes, and you know, people's videos from people and so on, and so a lot of great stuff on there. And then you've also got Instagram as well. You sort of do a similar sort of thing, and you've also got Pinterest, and you've got YouTube. You've got a lot of which is a load of great videos on YouTube as well, where you talk through some of your concepts. So yeah, I mean, I would I mean, if I was you, I'd put more videos and stuff on on your website, because that's what I do. If you go to my website, it's got my videos all over the place, because that's because hearing you, especially talking about your story about the what you went through at work and all the stress and your meltdown, and you mentioned you were suicidal at some point. I mean, that is, I mean, that's a really incredible story. And listening to that, it gives me much more confident. Well, I feel like I know you a lot better, and also I feel like much more confident. You know, if I had any of these sort of problems, much more confidence that you would be able to help me. And that's why, you know, I would put these sort of video just saying your story or stuff on this at the top, so people who come to your site would just click and sort of watch that straight away.
I've got some work to do with empathy. Well, the journey has been interesting, because, like you mentioned, the hero's journey. And so I felt, you know, I read up on like Joseph Campbell. I love movies. Campbell,
that's where
and I just felt that I had been on this hero's journey.
Yes.
Like, how could I use that in coaching? Because everybody is writing their life story right now, but they find it really difficult to kind of step back from it and know kind of what to change.
So just summarize in 2 or 3 sentences, what does it mean? What is the hero's journey? What is it?
The hero's journey is a storytelling mechanism from the, you know, as long as the age of time. But it's where you're feeling, you're in a certain state, maybe feeling frustrated, or something's not quite right. You've got a grander vision, but maybe you don't know what it is. And then you start figuring out that I need to do something. And then you find a mentor. You find your Obi-Wan Kenobi. And they then guide you and help you. Like we said, you can't do this stuff on your own. And you can always certainly get there quicker if somebody else helps you. And so as a guide, you then, on your journey, they help you through the challenges. They equip you with new skills, knowledge. You'll go through the ups and downs, but eventually you'll stand triumphant. As the hero of your story, being able to manage life and everything that's been thrown at you far better than you ever could before.
So this is the hero's journey that you've been through, and you're helping other people go through similar journey.
It was, when I kind of read up on this, it was just the perfect analogy for what I had been through. And of course, my hero's journey continues. You know, there's more. I've got mentors now that are helping me get to the next level. But it just felt like something that people could get a hold of. It felt like something that, if you felt like, you know, you're writing a chapter in your book right now. What kind of chapter are you writing? Are you even in the book? You know, or are you a cameo? Do you feel like the hero of your story? Do you feel like the author of your story? And 9 times out of 10, it was people I help, and certainly back in the day, far from the hero, far from the author. They were being pulled from pillar to post, everybody else's expectations, running around, no time for themselves to think. And the last thing they felt like was being the hero.
Because we feel disempowered, don't we? We feel like we've got no control over anything. We just have to. We've got no options. We're just trapped in this role, and
trapped.
this thing, yeah.
You get trapped in bubbles.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
how it was, like a corporate bubble or a business bubble, or because it just consumes your life.
Yeah, yeah.
What you need is somebody that's outside of that bubble.
Because they can see, yes, because no one outside can see, just by through a series of conversations with someone who's outside the situation, it can help you just see things a bit more clearly. I mean, obviously there are financial realities, and, you know, sometimes it isn't just possible to sort of do things, but maybe there are options that you hadn't considered, or maybe there's a way of setting boundaries at work and saying, right, I'm not doing any overtime, you know.
Exactly. It's boundaries that are often the thing that aren't there. It's weird that you in work you schedule meetings. Your work is very scheduled. Yet you don't schedule in you time. You don't schedule in family time, because that just feels weird, right?
Yeah.
But what if you did? All of a sudden you transform your day, your week.
Sure.
Because you're going, right, it's now time for this. And it feels a bit over the top to begin with. But the more you do that, the more of a habit it becomes. The more of a habit it becomes, the more of a routine it becomes. And you've got a better balance in life.
And this, of course, is something that's become more possible if we've been working from home with, you know, the COVID. And this brings me on to like your second website, which is extraordinary-times.com, which I imagine. So talk me through why you think you needed like a whole different website for these COVID times. Why you couldn't just add another page or something onto your other website? Is it like a whole different approach, or is it just the same approach, but just like you're applying it in a more specialized situation?
Okay, it's in many ways this year opened my eyes and helped me step up, if you like. I'd been so about empathy coaching and the hero's journey, and I'm very proud of that, and it is how I coach. COVID comes along and just stops the world. I'm very passionate about the world and the human race, right? And if you think of how crazy the world was before this, I know it's getting a bit crazy now, but if you think about how truly crazy the world was before this happened, you know, all the climate stuff and the protests and duct taping themselves to windows and the arguing about it that just wasn't going anywhere, and the politics, the caricatures, the business, 100-year-old systems not working, people getting burnt out, education. There was so much, and we were getting so out of control. And you kind of, in the moment, you're thinking, where the heck is this going to go, really? And then all of a sudden, let's call it Mother Nature. I know there's plenty of conspiracy theories, but let's call it Mother Nature comes along and gives the human race a huge slap and goes, stop. When has that ever happened? And I'm talking about not even in the world wars did pretty much every human being on the planet have to deal with the same thing at the same time, feeling the same emotions. You talked about earlier about many people don't get to that lowest of low points. And it is a very difficult thing for coaches, because we say, because we've learned from that, right? We've got an insight into life. You know, I have an insight into the miracle of life that most people don't have. I have a gratitude for life because I've died once, nearly died twice, and nearly took my own life. So when you've been through that, there is something that happens, right? But a lot of people don't get to that. But you're talking about something global here that has impacted everybody at the same time in different ways. Some people have had it more traumatic than others, but our way of life has all been altered at the same time across the world. And I just, from the moment it happened, I used the word extraordinary, and that's the only way that I could think of it. Now, I'm not glorifying this at all, because millions of people have had it, hundreds of thousands of people died of it. Okay, it is a tragedy. It is traumatic, and I know people that have had it. I know people that are trying to still get over it. I know people that have. So I come at it from that blessing. Okay. But it also felt like it was this double-edged sword. There was the trauma part of it, and then there was this massive opportunity in that the world stopped, suddenly realized what was important, what was essential in society, what was essential in your life. They suddenly woke up and realized all the things that weren't important, all the compromises they've been making previously. And I just found that extraordinary. It really was extraordinary times. And essentially, I summed it up right at the beginning. I did my first kind of like inspirational video. I do hundreds of videos, but this was kind of like, you know, your cinematics and some words. And it was just trying to get across that this is a traumatic time, but there will be good from this as well.
Yeah.
And then as a result of that, it just kind of built into this, you know what, this is something more. This is a philosophy. This is a mentality. This is a movement.
Yeah.
And I just felt like I kind of pivoted a little bit and went, right, there are a lot of people out there that need my help.
Yeah.
You know, let's, for a minute, let's forget about the hero's journey, empathy coaching. Yeah. What have I got that I can give people to help?
Yeah.
An accessibility to somebody to talk to and use my network in terms of business people, money people, fitness people.
Yeah.
I then started bringing in people and saying, right, there are lots of areas where people are hurting right now. I need to help them.
Yeah.
Can you help me help them?
Yeah.
And so that's why then this whole new website was created. This whole Extraordinary Times brand was created because it was then built around, right, what's happening right now? You're having this issue, this issue, this issue, this issue. Here's what could help. And so, you know, people were helping me help others. I produce a whole lot of videos on very specific topics about, you know, the choices and looking forward and looking at now. There's articles on there. There's a bit of edutainment, a bit of entertainment as well. But it suddenly brought this thing together that we could build from this an extraordinary tomorrow. That we're learning things right now that we didn't know before. Anybody, like you said, working from home. For thousands of people, I was lucky. I've lived in working from home and flexible working for a long time. You'll see that, in terms of like the first thing is about wellness. So CoLab is an amazing initiative in the UK that I'm part of, offering free talks, free discussions with anybody with any kind of issue that they're facing right now. I got a couple of my guys there in terms of wellness, and it's indeed my own accessibility. I just felt that, like, for the working from home people, I came from that environment, but a lot of people now are realizing for the first time that, and I'm talking about whole workforces, and now thinking, geez, I can do 98%, if not more, of my job working from home.
That's right.
And as a result, I haven't got to do the commute, which was exhausting me and costing me money, and, you know, reducing the time I had at either work or indeed with my family. And it's like I got instant access to my family. I feel more relaxed. I don't feel so exhausted. I don't feel so stressed. Wow. Now, I've known this for ages. I've been an advocate of flexible working, but all of a sudden across the world, you've got institutions, massive businesses that are going, wow, we could do something different here.
So what's this? So I've clicked on this tab here, edutainment, and I found
edutainment,
the Moji and Martin show. So you're obviously Martin, and who is this Moji guy?
Moji, he is my virtual self.
Oh, okay.
I realised that, you know, when I was having the conversation,
I thought he looked a bit like you.
Yeah, he
got more hair.
Yeah, he's, you know, he looks a little younger, bless him.
Okay.
But yeah, there was the well-being conversations I was having. There was the business side that I was having. There was the money side, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I realized that people were, certainly in the beginning, so stressed and so overwhelmed. And I realized going through my phone that the emojis, my emoji app, it was
it's from emoji. Yeah, okay.
It was pretty wisdomous. And so I thought, wouldn't it be cute to just do something bit different, because all my other stuff is pretty serious. You know, I was trying to educate, trying to inspire, trying to motivate. Why don't we have a little bit of fun as well, but also some edutainment? You know, so it was a case of, you know, what sort of things could you do through lockdown? What things are important? How do you keep fit? And what do you do with the kids? And all these kinds of things. What's good for your mental well-being? I thought it was a good way of just having a little bit of fun with it, but still be educational. And you'll see there, you've got there, there's some nice wallpapers and stuff, but I'm working on 3 books at the moment. And so they're going to be out very shortly. And again, they're going to help with this kind of going forward, because I am just passionate now. I'm saying we've got an opportunity, business, politics, society, us. Change starts with us as individuals. What kind of world do we want to live in? What kind of tomorrow do we want? And I just feel that this is our time. You know, this doesn't happen every year. This is a unique event, a unique experience. And we can build an extraordinary tomorrow. You know, we've just got to kind of be honest about where we are, what's been serving us in the past that we could bring with us. What have we learned right now? And what would we like to keep? And then how do we make that into our reality going forward?
So going forward, are you more focused on this new website now, extraordinary-times.com, rather than all your
I've been focusing on that. Empathy coaching is still there. It's still my brand, it's still my coaching brand.
So in terms of
Extraordinary Times is kind of it's to get people thinking.
Yeah.
And whether they work with me, my partners, or somebody else, it's to get people thinking, to say, you know what, this is our time. This is the time I could make that stand. To say,
so if someone's interested in your work, then they should come here, look at your videos and so on, and look at your website, and then they can contact you for like a free chat, basically. And
absolutely, my virtual coffee house.
You
know, it's not, you know, I don't like the language that some coaches use in terms of like discovery calls or whatever it is. It's like, you know what, let's just have a chat. I'm not there to, I don't sell anything. I don't need to sell anything. I have a conversation, and if I can help you, then I can guide you, and, you know, we can see if we want to work together. But, you know, it's got to be right both ways.
So how do you, so I see you've got these 2 websites, and you've got these social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, and Twitter, and LinkedIn as well. So what would you say is the biggest source of your new clients?
Facebook and LinkedIn.
Facebook and LinkedIn.
Bring in slightly different clients.
LinkedIn more sort of corporate people.
But, you know, if I have an ideal avatar, you know, because, you know, we all talk about that in marketing. Ideal avatar is obviously somebody who has been through or is going through something that I did. You know, so that kind of
a lot of people on LinkedIn
leadership level, they're feeling overwhelmed, they're feeling stressed, they feel like they want to change, but the story they tell themselves is they can't, because they need to pay the bills and they've got responsibilities to family and all that kind of stuff. And I can tell you that I am still, having gone from a good salary, a good career, I went from that to nothing. And, you know, our household income got cut by 80%.
Wow.
Okay. I am still in the same house. I still have my wife and children, and now I'm living a more abundant life and a happier, more fulfilled life than I ever have.
So even though you
can leave things behind, you know, you can make change. You will be amazed at what happens when you make that leap of faith.
Because it's not all about money, is it? It's better to have a bit less money if you sort of lead a very satisfying life, where you wake up every morning and feel really happy to sort of go about your day. So it's worth so much more than you know, making more money in a job you hate. I mean, there's no people we try and do these jobs we hate to get all this money, and then we have all this money and we don't really know what to do with it. You know, we buy flash cars or go on expensive holidays, but it doesn't really make us happy. It just gives us like a sort of week off all the stress and sort of horrible.
You're so exhausted and so mentally exhausted, physically exhausted, that you can't enjoy it. So yes, I had a career, and yes, we'd go on holiday. It would take me 2 weeks of my holiday to wind down, and then it's time to come home. When I was spending time at you know, I know people resting out with this. You know, you go home at the weekend, you go, oh my God, it's the weekend. But all you can think of is how much work you've got. So you're not in the room with your family. You're feeling guilty you're not working, even though it's the weekend. And then when you're working, you're feeling guilty you're not with your family because you know you've been neglecting them. So it's not, money is an enabler for you to do amazing things and to give and to provide for others. But it is not the source of joy and happiness.
No, exactly.
That's purpose. That's you being comfortable in your own thing.
So going back to LinkedIn, I'm just sort of curious, I'm just curious how you get clients on LinkedIn. Is it by like commenting and liking on other people's posts and doing your own posts and just engaging in conversation with people?
Yeah, my own posts. I've got a kind of regular crew that support with that. I've got obviously the articles. I'm trying to get a bit more clever with hashtags on all social media.
I've started doing hashtags as well. Yeah.
And I've got groups of really amazing people that we get on with, and we support each other's posts.
Sure.
It's about going out there and adding value to other people. So you're right. It's about commenting on other people, paying attention to other people. To anybody with a business out there, it is not about you going, my business, my business, my business. Buy from me, buy from me. It's not about that.
Yeah.
Add value. Add something to their life. Know their pain, these people's pain points. Know what they're going through. Be empathetic and go, you know what? I've been there through. Give them some hints and tips. Help them, support them, and get to know people.
And then how do you get clients from Facebook?
It's exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing.
So you make comments on other people's posts, and people come and comment.
And I've spent time building communities on Facebook. Facebook was my very first platform. That's where I launched empathy coaching. So I've had more experience on that. But it's about building that community.
Have you got a group or something like that on Facebook, or how do you build?
They've got a community of heroes group. And
is that linked to? How do we find out about this community of heroes group?
It is on the empathy page, and it's probably community or groups there, is it?
On here?
Yeah.
I can't see. Oh,
on the left
click on groups.
Yeah.
Community of yes, okay. Community of heroes, the inner circle. Yeah. And the visible coaches group, is that?
Yeah, the visible coaches is a group that I host. I got about 500, just over 500 coaches.
Oh, okay.
That we all support each other. I head that up. We help each other with content becoming more visible.
Okay.
Hints, tips. We practice. Going live, for example. So it's an amazing group. So again, part of what we were talking about earlier, surround yourself with incredible people that can lift you up.
Yeah.
The visible coaches group is just an incredible group of human beings that all believe in the same thing.
Yeah.
And again, for the business, when you're out there, you're showcasing yourself, your skills, your knowledge. It's about building a rapport with people. It's about know, like, and trust.
Sure.
Get them to know you, so they know of you. Oh, look, that person keeps popping up in my feed. Right. And then eventually they might actually start listening to what you're saying.
Yeah.
So in other words, you've got to have a fair bit of content out there. You can't rely on one post a week.
Exactly.
So out there, they'll know you. Then they'll start going, oh, I actually paid attention to that. I agree with that. That's good. They'll start liking. They'll start commenting. You'll build that engagement. You'll start engaging with them. Oh, great. And eventually, over time, they'll start to trust you.
Yeah.
Not in a nefarious way, but in a genuine way, because they're interested in the same things you are. And it's why I'm working really hard on my social media right now. And there's some massive things to come. But it's about sharing not only your content, but it's about sharing other people's content as well that inspires and motivates you.
Yes.
Because if it inspires and motivates you, the chances are it'll inspire and motivate the people that resonate with you as well. Yeah. And it'll add value to their life. You'll introduce them to, like Lewis Howes or Tony Robbins or Dean Graziosi or whatever. You'll introduce them to these people and they go, oh my God, yeah, that's really valuable. But they've learned that from you. The route has been through you. And so you just build up, you stack all these things that say, I like them because of this and this. And that's how you build a relationship online. And then, when you've got something to offer, be that a new group or a service or a product or a partnership or a virtual summit or whatever it might be, those people are going to pay attention and they'll want to be involved. But they'll not only want to be involved, they'll be your advocates.
Yeah.
They'll go, John, you need to come and see this. Come and, he's got something to say here. We need to be on this, this podcast, or come and listen to this. They are the ones that then draw other people in, because they attract other people that are attracted to the same things they like.
Yeah.
So it really is about giving, being. You talked about it right at the start, Keith. It was being authentic. Just be yourself.
Yeah.
Don't be perfect, because we're not. Admit it. We've all got somewhere to go. I'm not perfect, but what I have got is a massive passion to help people.
And that's, I can really sort of, I get a real sense of that. I can feel your incredible energy coming through the screen. So it's coming up to the end of the hour. So I obviously be respectful to everyone's time, because I'm sure all our viewers are very busy. But it's been fascinating talking to you, and I've learned such a lot, and been inspired to put that energy into my own business and so on. So do you have any final words before we end this?
Final words. Okay. I got three tips I like to leave you.
Okay, yeah. Go for
it. They take 1 hour each. Is that okay, Keith?
Okay, no.
The first one is, if you think that you've tried everything and had every conversation, you haven't. Yeah. Right. When you get to that point when you think you've done everything, you haven't. And I've proven that, right? I've been ready to make the ultimate sacrifice, having thought that, and I realized there were many conversations, many people, and many things I hadn't tried.
Yeah.
So in any walk of life, you don't have to be on your knees like I was. There is always a way. You just haven't spoken to the right person yet.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just got to come out of your own comfort barrier and do that. The second one is, and we said it earlier, stress, overwhelm, day in, day out. I'm not talking about a deadline for Friday and then it goes away. I'm talking day in, day out.
Yeah.
That is not the tax that you have to pay to live and breathe and work in the 21st century.
Yeah.
And if this pandemic has shown us anything, it should have brought that to light. No, you don't need that. There is a different way, and we've got an opportunity right now to build that different way.
Yeah.
So remember that. And then the third one, again, we've kind of hinted on it. Reach out. You don't have to have all the answers. In fact, you know what? You don't even have to have all the questions. You just got to know that, you know what, there's something missing here. There's something I don't get it. Then start asking people. And if that person doesn't know, they might know somebody who does.
Yeah.
And so please reach out in any walk of life, whether you're struggling mentally, physically, or indeed you're just struggling in business or life or relationships, or money or whatever it might be. Just reach out, because there are incredible people on this planet that genuinely you don't realize they want you to succeed, probably even more than you want to succeed.
Sure.
And you want some of those people in your corner, because they transform your life. Okay. So, and if I happen to be one of those people for anybody, then it's always an absolute pleasure to help people.
Okay, so, that's great.
That's my three things. Thank you ever so much. Thank you.
Well, it's been lovely having you on the show, Martin, and I'm sure our viewers will be very appreciative of all the insights and wisdom you've given. And I'm sure you help a lot of people. So,
hopefully, if they've got questions, queries, then just drop them in any comments, and I'll make sure that we answer them.
Sure. Well, okay. So, we'll leave it there then, and I'll keep an eye on your posts and see what you're up to.
Thank you, sir.
It'll be very interesting to see how your new project sort of progresses over the next few months and so on.
Thank you.
Okay then. Right.
We'll have an extraordinary tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Bye for now, Martin. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.